Richard Ramirez, also known as the Night Stalker, was one of the most terrifying serial killers in American history. His crimes in the mid-1980s shocked California and left an unforgettable mark on the nation's memory. What made Ramirez particularly disturbing was not only his brutality, but also his open worship of Satan. He claimed that each of his killings was a sacrifice, an offering to the devil himself. Tonight, we dive deep into his life, his crimes, and the chilling way he terrorized Los Angeles and San Francisco. This is the story of Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. Ramirez was born in El Paso, Texas in 1960. From a young age, he was surrounded by violence and corruption. His cousin, a Vietnam veteran, showed him gruesome photos of women he had tortured and killed during the war. Ramirez was just 12 years old when he witnessed his cousin shoot his wife in the face. That moment, many believe, shaped the monster he would later become. By his teenage years, Ramirez was already addicted to drugs and immersed in satanic worship. He would spend nights in cemeteries, taking drugs and performing rituals. For him, Satan was not a symbol, it was his god. In June 1984, Los Angeles faced the beginning of a nightmare. Ramirez entered the home of 79-year-old Jenny Vincow. He sexually assaulted her, stabbed her repeatedly, and slit her throat. The brutality shocked investigators. This was not a robbery gone wrong, it was pure evil. Just a year later, in March 1985, Ramirez escalated his violence. He broke into the home of Maria Hernandez, 22, and attacked her in the garage. Maria managed to survive by raising her hands. His bullet struck her keys and deflected. But inside the house, her roommate Dale Okazaki, 34, was not so lucky. Ramirez shot her in the head, killing her instantly. That same night, Ramirez attacked another woman, Tsai Lian Yu, dragging her out of her car and shooting her. Los Angeles was in shock. Within a single evening, the Night Stalker had claimed 2 lives and almost a third. Over the next months, Ramirez would strike again and again. What terrified people most was his randomness. He had no specific victim type. Men, women, children, the elderly, it didn't matter. He entered homes at night, often leaving satanic symbols drawn on the walls in lipstick or spray paint. In April 1985, he broke into the home of Vincent and Maxine Zazzara. He shot Vincent, 64, while he slept. Then he brutally attacked Maxine, stabbing her repeatedly. After killing her, he gouged out her eyes and placed them in a jewelry box. Investigators later believed he kept them as a satanic offering. In May, he attacked the home of Bill and Lillian Doy. Bill was shot and beaten, and Lillian was sexually assaulted before Ramirez killed her. In June, he entered the home of 83-year-old Florence Lang and her disabled husband, 81-year-old Russell. He beat and tied them, then shot Russell in the head. Florence was beaten and sexually assaulted. Each crime scene was more gruesome than the last. Ramirez told some victims to swear to Satan that they would not scream. He forced them to declare their loyalty to the devil before killing them. These were not random murders. He believed they were sacrifices. By summer 1985, Los Angeles was living in absolute fear. Newspapers called him the Night Stalker. People locked their doors and windows at night, bought extra locks, and some even slept with guns. Unlike other killers who targeted a type, like Ted Bundy with young women, Ramirez attacked anyone. That unpredictability made him seem unstoppable. Ramirez also enjoyed the fear he created. After killing or assaulting victims, he often left satanic pentagrams drawn on walls or even carved into victims' skin. To him, every murder was a ritual, a dark ceremony for his master, Satan. Some victims survived and later gave horrifying accounts. One woman recalled how Ramirez told her, "Don't look at me. Swear to Satan you won't scream." Another survivor described his rotten teeth, his wild eyes, and the stench that lingered on him. In several cases, Ramirez kidnapped children, abused them, and released them hours later. It was as though he wanted them to spread the terror further. By July 1985, investigators began connecting the dots. Ballistics showed the same gun had been used in multiple attacks. Shoe prints at several scenes revealed a size 11.5 Avia sneaker, a rare shoe at the time. Detectives knew they were dealing with one man. In August, Ramirez struck in San Francisco. He entered the home of Peter and Barbara Pan. He shot Peter in the temple while he slept and beat and sexually assaulted Barbara. Before leaving, he scrawled a pentagram and the words, "Jack the Knife," on the wall. The mayor of San Francisco announced to the press that they had evidence linking the killings. This angered police. Ramirez now knew they were onto him, but by then, his luck was running out. On August 30th, 1985, Ramirez's face was plastered across newspapers. His fingerprints had been matched to crime scenes. and the police had released his mugshot from a prior arrest. Everyone in California now knew who the Night Stalker was. The very next day, Ramirez walked into a convenience store in East Los Angeles. He noticed people staring at him, whispering, pointing. Suddenly, one man shouted, "That's him! That's the Night Stalker!" Panic broke out. Ramirez fled, running through the streets trying to steal cars, but the neighborhood had already recognized him. A group of citizens chased him down, armed with metal rods and sticks. They beat him, restrained him, and held him until police arrived. The terrifying Night Stalker was finally caught. Not by cops, but by ordinary people who refused to let him escape. Ramirez's trial was one of the most sensational in U.S. history. He showed no remorse. In court, he raised his hand, revealing a pentagram drawn on his palm, and shouted, "Hail Satan!" He was convicted of 13 murders, 5 attempted murders, 11 sexual assaults, and 14 burglaries. The jury sentenced him to death in 1989. His response? He laughed and said, "Big deal. Death always went with the territory. I'll be in hell, and that's fine with me." Richard Ramirez remained on death row at San Quentin prison until his death in 2013 from cancer. He never expressed regret. For nearly 3 decades, he lived as an icon of evil, admired by some satanic cult followers who wrote him love letters. But for the families of his victims, the scars remain. Ramirez was not just a killer. He was a terrorist in human form, a man who turned night into a hunting ground, who used Satan as a justification for unspeakable cruelty. The story of Richard Ramirez reminds us of the darkest side of humanity. He was not motivated by money, jealousy, or revenge. His motivation was evil itself. His killings were sacrifices to Satan, rituals of blood and terror. Even today, decades later, his name still strikes fear. He was and always will be the Night Stalker. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker.